wildly successful means very different things to different people. But everyone, the number one question you could ask yourself to know what you can do is just ask, what else is possible? I've gotten here, I've done this, but you know what? What else is possible?
I'm excited to be in the studio today with Mary Kathryn Johnson, our Chief Experience Officer at Planet Wealth. I can't wait to let her directly address what she does and how, because I know that I find it extremely useful and valuable, but more importantly, I think it's making a significant difference within our community. And I'd love for you to understand better what really is driving her, and equally as important, what she's changing, improving, and her team are striving to accomplish each day, because it is always moving forward here at Planet Wealth. Mary, how are you today?
I am fan-stinking-tastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was very kind of you. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very happy to, be able to talk about what we do in a little bit of a different context. Instead of all the meetings and trying to push forward what we're doing and trying to help people, trying to now encapsulate it into a podcast episode and sharing what we do. So yeah, I'm excited. Chief Experience Officer, Chief Customer Success Officer. I mean, there's a bunch of different titles. It's all about customer success. So let's get the show on the road.
You know, it's more than just a mission of closing the wealth gap. It's really about the people at Planet Wealth, but also the actual customers and the people with the dreams, and that the people that are using our tools and resources and meeting with us to pursue their own goals. And tell me about how you're empowering those people and how we put them first and foremost of everything we're doing.
That is a great introduction. Number one, if the people that are coming in to Planet Wealth have a certain mindset that introduces them to what we do and what's possible, that's the first thing they're going to do. They have a certain mindset of, I think I might be able to do this. Once they have that mindset, then we provide the tools. You can't use the tools without being ready to actually make the changes that you need to make in your life. So from that perspective of customer success and closing the wealth gap, that's why we're here. And if someone coming into Planet Wealth has that expectation that I think this is possible, I think I can do this, I just don't know how, I don't know the process, I don't know whether I really can do it or not. I mean, all those questions, if you just start with that and you come into Planet Wealth, we can help you all the way. So that's exactly what we do. We have all the tools, we have all the systems, and we have the support. It's not like most softwares or most businesses where, you start with a particular product and the company dumps you in that product and says, have a great time. You're just going to be able to navigate it and do what you need to do. And not everybody can do that. And so the support to make sure that you can navigate that structure is also important. So we start with a mindset, we then deliver the tools, and then we help with the guidance. It's a beautiful thing.
That brings up a great point. Tell me about how you and your team, how they serve our clients differently than the normal software platform.
Yeah. That is really, to be honest, what drew me to Planet Wealth. Because if you have any software that you use, we all use them how many per day? Many, many, many. We go into the software, it's software. There's no human there. It's technology, and it makes our lives easier. But usually behind the scenes, if we have a question or we have something we have to figure out, or it's something new we've never done before. Let's say you've never done anything in Canva. You've never done any design at all, and you're dumped on this blank page with a bunch of stuff all around that you can try and figure out.
It's intimidating.
It is. And so most software, if I'm going to try and figure that out, there might be a little help button in the top right corner, right? Or I'm going to go, okay, where's their YouTube channel? Where's their support? And I'm going to go to the YouTube channel. I'm going to watch a bunch of videos.
Yeah, you definitely don't click the help button because it's going to drop you into a knowledge base and it's going to be worse. Right.
That's right. So, that's typical. That's totally normal for all software. But we tackle it a little differently because we know we're dealing with topics and procedures that are usually very new and people have never experienced before. And we're not just going to go send you to a YouTube video. We have what we call business building intensives. And these intensives are hour-long live events, live calls with our experts where you can specifically take a certain part of our software, a certain procedure that you're going to have to follow in order to raise capital. And you can RSVP to that live session and you can go get on a call and someone will walk you step by step through that section. And we have that for every single section. It's live. It's not just, we could just put up recorded. And who knows, in the future, if you can't meet and you're doing this at midnight, you're going to have to go watch a recorded video, something that's already been there because we won't be there at midnight. But we have those videos all ready for you and a human at the same time.
That's fantastic. So let's circle back for a second. People are coming to us because they have dreams that need to be capitalized. They need money to pursue some path. Who are those customers? What are you typically seeing as someone that's engaging us and entering into our Wealth Builder system?
It's a varied group of people at all different levels. We have people who are coming in just thinking about this and thinking, I think I can do this. I think I can raise capital for my venture, whatever it might be. And let's just specifically take real estate. Okay. So I think I can do this. I really would like to get a property and rent it out and have some monthly income coming in from that rental, all the way to people who already have 300 properties. And they are looking to capitalize on the next property or combine those properties with another property. And they've done almost everything, but they haven't done it using the Jobs Act. They haven't done it using other people's money and this structure of different regulations through the SEC and FINRA. So all the gamut and everything in between. People who have grand ideas and have never done anything before, but they want to start with 71-room apartments,
Sure.
Right? And so all of those are present in our customers.
So for our typical customer, you're seeing them coming in as money's a tool, and I'd like to use it to achieve my goal, however they choose to define that. And there's really no set customer type. Sure, we do have people that are further along in their real estate journey, further along in their investment journey. But at the end of the day, what exactly are we providing them, offering them? How do we help this varied group?
The number one thing we're providing them is the potential of access to the capital that they need for whatever it is they dream to build. We are providing the tools, the support, and the frameworks to access, to at least have that as a potential. Whereas before, there were only certain places they could go. Well, now they have another place they can go that has much more access.
That's 100% how I got started here was I wanted access. I was locked out and I wanted in. How does giving someone access or helping them pursue what they want to achieve or empowering someone to drive to their financial dreams, what's the reality here? How does that work?
Do you want the actual step-by-step work or do you want more of the mindset kind of work?
So you're saying that it takes both generally?
It absolutely takes both. The way I look at this, and Joelle, our CMO, and I had a conversation about this yesterday. The way I look at it, there's a three-pronged approach.
Okay.
The first is mindset, right? We can't even think Planet Wealth might be helpful unless we have the mindset that we want to have access to capital.
The hardest part about achieving anything is believing it's possible.
Absolutely.
I always knew that billions of dollars were being made on Wall Street. It took a really long time to believe that it could also happen for me and I could be part of that for others.
Exactly. And so that's the first step. And through this journey, almost every step has a mindset component to it, right? So we have people who are going to go file their Form ID, and this is their first introduction to a government website. And there are lots of questions, and some of them might be confusing, and they're not quite sure. So that mindset needs to be, okay, that's all right. This is just another website. There are just things that I have to fill out. And so getting over some of those fears might be a mindset issue.
What are some of the fears? Let's dig into that for a moment. We literally have people coming to us that are pursuing, hey, I really need to put together $20 million and here's how we're going to do it. I need your help working through this path, right? All the way down to, I never had a business before, but what are the mindset challenges and how does your team help them overcome that?
The number one mindset challenge I've seen so far, there are two of them that I would identify so far. The number one is, how am I going to get investors without sounding like I'm begging people for money? Because we're used to going to banks. Banks are faceless, nameless institutions. So we don't have any personal identification with that or personal feeling about them rejecting us. Well, of course we have rejection, but not so much as sitting across from grandma.
No, it's personal when you're sitting in front of someone, especially someone that you know.
Yeah. So that's the number one. Many people come in and say, I don't want to go beg people for money. And they don't really talk about that until we get a little more into the process and they start saying, well, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to ask people for money. And even just saying it that way is an identifier of where their mind is, where their mindset is. So we have to shift that and just go, okay, well, you're not actually asking people for money. You're actually giving people an opportunity to invest in a project.
So is it just merely changing their perspective of the process, or is it also empowering them in ways that simplifies that
completely
process? So it's a two-pronged solution.
Yeah,
here.
I'm looking at three actually. So the first one is that mindset, and you just use analogies. You just are you when someone, if you want to stick a gum, right? Are you uncomfortable saying, gosh, can I have a piece of gum? Or someone comes up to you and says, can I have a piece of gum? Is that uncomfortable? No, it's an inanimate object. It's no big deal. But when we put those personal feelings and those identifiers, like if I go out and start talking to people about investing and they reject me, then that decreases my status. It feels like it decreases my status. It makes me feel bad. Something's wrong with me. Although all those personal things, all those ideas come into our head. So once we get past that and I just go, it's an investment. You're giving them an opportunity. You're providing them an opportunity for an investment. It's not begging for money, asking for money, and you're not selling. So once we get past that, then we look at what I call innovation. And I don't think of innovation like the Steve Jobs and the Elon Musks of the world. I think every single one of us is an innovator in the sense that our previous experience no one in the world has the exact same previous experience and outlook on the world as we do.
Right.
You have a very different background. You came from a very different path, through a very different path to where you are right here. I did as well. And all of that colors our glasses, colors the way we look at the world. And no one else has that. So we have a differentiator. The way I look at the world is my differentiator. And I innovate everything I do because I bring everything I've done, the lessons I've learned, the difficulties I've had. And that's one of the things that most of these people bring is I'm begging for money because that came from their past. And so if we can overcome that, then they can now have a new power to innovate their space. So even if it's real estate, if it's, some other kind of asset, they can innovate that space based on their previous experience. So that's the middle piece. That's the most messy, to be honest, because most people don't think about it that way. They don't think about the lessons they've learned. They don't look back in hindsight and connect the dots. So we can help them do that. And then the third, then once we get to that point, now it's just process. Now it's just strategy and tactics. It's just click the boxes, put in the numbers, follow the steps, and do the thing.
It's interesting to me to see you walk through that path, because it really each piece rolls into the next and builds on each other. But then the next step also supports the previous step. So, learning to raise capital is a process. It is a journey, and it does take time. You're not going to come out being a Wall Street grizzled veteran on day 3, right?
Right.
But hearing you explain the process helps me see that, when we get into the strategy and tactics, what we're really doing is simplifying the previous hurdles and hangups, because if you're not having the traditional Wall Street deal with someone taking a giant chunk out of the middle, right? What does Wall Street do? It takes somebody's money, takes somebody else's business, smashes them together, and they take a giant piece out of the middle, right? Well, if you don't have that, then it makes the deal better for the investors because more capital is going to work. It makes the deal a type of deal that most people will never see, which means you're not having to sell it. It's a deal it's a deal that's so good they could literally be doing it themselves, except you're willing to do the work. Well, they're winning first. And if they get their agreed upon returns paid first, what's the risk? What's the downside? If you're putting that money into real estate, 5 years from now, that house is probably still sitting on Main Street if that's where you put the money, because with all the assets, taking all of the investor proceeds, if all the money's going to work in the purchase of or improvement of an asset, well, you've got more money making a return. You've got investors getting paid first. You're no longer selling your financial instrument. You're no longer selling your deal. You're no longer having to pitch some risky investment. You're literally pitching in what's truly just sharing what you're doing in a way that they are prioritized, in a way that no one can argue with what you're doing. That supports the prior mindset changes that you've done. So it's not just hearing this out loud. It's not just walking people through the process and, hey, this is what you need to believe, but it's backing it with substance. So let's dig into that for a second. I often hear that your team really holds people's hands through this process. Let's dig in for a moment, and specifically, what is your team doing to simplify not just the mindset shifts, which absolutely are required. I had my own. We're all born with quirks around money and everything else in reality, but the difference between someone wildly successful and someone moderately successful, like everybody has their own challenges to overcome to reach that level of success. But at that point, the real difference is mindset and the dream that you can see yourself pursuing. And if you can visualize that journey, you can pursue the journey. At that point, it's just steps, and one step leads to the next. How do you get people into that journey where they can actually see success for themselves and they have a path that can be followed? What does that look like for our audience?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I just go back to just to finish up what you were just saying about the process feeding on what we've done before. You often say that if you start small, and I know our real estate expert Jude has said, if you start small and you make mistakes on a small deal, then you've learned lessons to apply to the next larger deal, rather than starting huge and making huge mistakes in that deal. So that's where the procedures that we have feed on the mindset shifts that you need to make. So, but getting into the team, one of the number one things I think we do is we don't shy away from whatever's happening. We don't shy away from the things that we all are going to experience. So if you talk about money, absolutely, we all have money mindset issues. And usually what I do is I give questions when someone's asking, when someone's saying, I'm begging for money, or I'm uncomfortable asking for money. Some of the questions that I want them to finish are, people with a lot of money are, and just finish that statement. And that'll tell you exactly where your mindset is about people with a lot of money. People with a lot of money or rich people can, and just finish that statement. So, I grew up with very limited beliefs. And so just continuing to ask myself that question, that same exact statement, and see how I finish that statement will show me what my current reality is. That's my current reality. That's what I think is real.
So you're getting real-time feedback from your customers so that you can specifically help them.
Correct. And then once we know what their current reality is, because however you finish that statement, that's what's real to you. And so once we get that, I can then apply that to other things in life. Well, do you believe that's the case with this or with this? And what if I told you that that may not be true? Those are thoughts. That doesn't mean it's a reality. So once we work through those kinds of things, then we can go back to the process, because the process is logical. There's no emotion added to it. There's no mindset issues. There's nothing. It's just
a framework to follow.
It's just a logical process. And so if that logical process was all that was needed, everyone would be wealthy. Just the way it is. But that's not the case. So my team, first thing we do is we're open. We're not going to shy away from any of these ideas and the way people talk. I had a gal on the phone last night that's had many setbacks in life. And she's also had quite a bit of wealth in life. She had one property, $1 million in equity, and doing apartment complexes and, going into the county and changing regulations so that she could build here and there, and then had setbacks in life, lots of difficulties. And so now she's picking herself back up. But even though she had those difficulties, she's starting way ahead of someone who's never done any of that. It's just, can I do it again? Can I actually do this again? Are all those terrible things going to happen again? When I pick myself back up and I'm back on the high rise, am I going to get shot down again? So it's all, we would all be, Elon Musk if all it was a process. But it's not, because we all come. That's why I love what you've established in the way you talk about it. Does not matter where you start.
Right.
Does not matter where you start.
It really doesn't.
All you have to do is believe and take the steps. And each belief is different for each of us.
Just be willing to do the work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no one was ever born great. No one was great. People were later believed to be great because they were thrust into that situation that created greatness, and they were willing to do the work. It was nothing less, nothing more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I keep coming back to we're open, because there's very few things that people could tell me that would surprise me, right? Because we've all experienced it. The longer you live, the more you experience of life. And so, you experience it, and I can say, I understand, and I'm sorry that happened, or have the normal feelings associated with that. But I know people have overcome incredible things with incredible limitations. And so it's really a matter of being open to the fact that something might happen, or you have a certain mindset, and open to the risks. I think that's also important. How risk tolerant are you? And risk tolerant meaning putting yourself out there, not risk tolerant with other people's money, right? That's not what I'm talking about, but putting yourself out there and taking opportunities and trying to jump into opportunities. Some people are very uncomfortable with that. And some people are like, yeah, let's go. let's just jump in and see what we're going to do. But the way my team does it is to take each person and help them through the process. And as we go through the process, we uncover maybe what's limiting them, which might be a mindset.
One thing I've seen that your team is always asking for feedback, soliciting customers and collecting data, collecting information. Why do you spend so much time doing that?
Bottom line, yes, we might be selling and providing a product, but that product has to be used by humans. And the humans are going to come with their own stories. And if we don't know where their mind is, what we're saying works, what we're saying doesn't work, what we provide works, what we provide doesn't work, if we don't know that, if we don't know the details of that, we can't improve. We can't fulfill our mission, which is to provide the access that people are looking for. So I can do that from a gut feeling all day long, but my gut feeling isn't going to be accurate.
Back to your own unique circumstances in life and your own
I'm looking at that through my own colored lenses, from my own experiences. I have my own limitations and experiences and, different situations that I've gone through. So I don't want to trust that when I'm talking to other people because their experiences are different. So the only way I know is to ask. And when you ask, that's the fun part of this to me. You can ask the same question in different ways and get deeper and deeper into a particular subject. So that's what we do. We're going to ask lots of questions. We're going to ask the same question in a different way. We're going to allow people to self-select and raise their hand for certain directions or self-identify into different types of asset classes, different types of journey levels, right, where they might say they are. It's all about just asking the right questions and gathering that data and then changing, adapting. That's what creates success. No business is successful immediately the first day it opens. Yeah, you might make money. Yeah, you might make some sales. You might satisfy some customers, but where you want to ultimately end up, you can't get there immediately. There's no overnight success. We know that.
It's optimizing your business to fulfill your mission to the most of its capability.
And if you know what that mission is, then you can work backwards from that. And if you know what the conversion is and where you're headed, then you can work backwards and see the path that you need to create to help customers navigate that to get to that mission. And that path has to be created using data. There's no other way.
And then what do you do with the data? What do we do with it?
We optimize. We change our processes. We add different features. We communicate differently. We help the next customer based on the difficulties the previous customer might have had, so that we can anticipate. We're not going to put those difficulties on each customer, but we're going to be open and say, okay, we've seen this before. Let's help in this way. It really is optimizing the process, optimizing the journey.
I probably should have said this before this last question. So it almost sounds like a mentor-mentee relationship where it's a personal journey for them. Is it personal for you?
It is completely. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't personal for me. And it's some people. I'm the type of person I am. If I jump into a piece of software, I'm not going to immediately go to the help, videos. I'm just going to dive in and start navigating. That's just my personality. Some people need to understand. My husband's the opposite. He needs to understand every single step before he takes it. And so we have to accommodate that for each person, depending on who they are and how they're doing. So yes, it's a mentor-mentee, but for me, seriously, I am fed by the energy of other people. I am fed by the energy of helping people navigate whatever it is they're navigating. And if I do that, I wake up every day wanting to talk to interesting people doing extraordinary things. And I haven't met an uninteresting person yet, even if I have to pull it out of them. They're going to be interesting, I know. And all of us are doing extraordinary things every day. So that feeds me like nothing. I can stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock, doing what I love to do because I'm being fed by the interesting people doing extraordinary things around me.
That's one of the things that really interested me about you whenever we were first introduced. And essentially, for you, it feels personal. It's not just the work, but you're working to create outcomes. You're working. What is this work for you? What are you working towards?
That's a really good question. I am working for the same goal that Planet Wealth is working for, only I don't look at it as a mission that is a big picture. I know that goal can't be achieved without the humans that are going to do it, the people. So yes, we look at data. Yes, we look at numbers. But to me, every single one of those numbers is represented by a person that I can look in the face and talk to. That's what's in it for me.
It's a person, it's a family, it's a micro community, it's a group of individuals working together to achieve a common goal for the benefit of all.
Yeah. And when you hear the stories of what people are wanting to accomplish, it's just so exciting. It's so invigorating.
Tell me some of the stories. What are our clients looking to achieve and where are they in life and what are they going after here?
It's Lance, it's such a beautiful thing because it's the spectrum of life, the spectrum of society. People are looking at going back to their communities that they grew up in that were
Have had some hard years.
Yeah, they were difficult communities, and they've gotten out of those communities. They've gone to school. They've gone on to their lives, and they're wanting to come back to that community and help improve it. And so they're wanting to take some of the homes that are maybe boarded up and open them up for new families to come in. They're wanting to change the environment and feel like they can make it safer and feel like they can make it more affluent, if that's what people want. There are people who were raised by their grandmother. One gentleman's raised by his grandmother, and his grandmother worked 2-3 jobs and, tried to keep the home and keep it going. And all she wanted him to do was help people have their own home because it was so difficult for her to keep that while she was raising him. And so he's doing that in his grandmother's name, going out and trying to help individual families have a new home inspired by his grandmother. People who want to go and have housing opportunities for kids who are aging out of the care system, to be able to have a transition into adult life coming out of the care system, and they want to provide housing and home opportunities for those. There are just the number of humans on the planet. There are different stories, and those stories are important to every single one of them. And again, are dictated based on their past, and we all have that passion based on where we came from. It's so inspiring.
You mentioned where we came from. Walk me through 2 journeys. Someone that's just starting out in life and someone that most people would consider to be wildly successful. What is our wealth builder system look like for each of them?
That's a wonderful thing to do. So a brand new person who has never really done anything in the way of asset building, their journey can start exactly where they are, and in the education of the process and the education of what's possible. So we can start them right with that education if that's what they're looking for, and just in telling them what's possible. The person who's already wildly successful, according to the outside, that person may be looking at, I'm tired of giving one gentleman, I'm tired of giving the banks whatever percentage I'm giving the banks. I would rather give this to families, people.
I remember that he would rather the money go to the people in his community than.
Yeah. And so now he's just looking at the fact that, okay, yeah, I can do this with banks and I can keep getting loans and do that. But again, that's nameless, faceless. This is an amazing opportunity to allow everyday people to invest, and I can bring them up with me. And their families can be fed from the interest that they earn, the money that they get back. Their kids can, go to soccer practice or private school, so it makes a huge difference for that person. So wildly successful means very different things to different people, but everyone, the number one question you could ask yourself to know what you can do is just ask, what else is possible? I've gotten here, I've done this, but you know what? What else is possible?
I can't think of a better statement to end this on, to be honest. What else is possible? Ask yourself that, because that will begin showing you the doors that are sitting right in front of you today.
Yep.
Mary, tell me something our viewers may not know about yourself that's interesting, fun, embarrassing. What makes Mary Mary?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You can't see it right now because I got headphones on, but I can wiggle my ears. So there you go.
Nice. I love it. Folks, Mary Kathryn Johnson, Chief Experience Officer of Planet Wealth, head ruckus maker. She's here to shake up our community and get them going wherever they need to go. Mary, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Planet Wealth Fortunes of the Brave, Check out our other videos for more insights and strategies to elevate your financial freedom. You can subscribe right here and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Join our community and take your financial future to the next level. I'll see you in the next video.